Mark from Perth, Western Australia here. Today I'm going to show you how to make a really yummy pizza sauce. Just going to run through the ingredients that we're going to need first. We're going to need two 400 grams cans of San Marzano DOP tomatoes. A beautiful tomato, very few seeds, so we prefer the San Marzanos because they're not having fewer seeds, less acidity. We're going to need dry oregano, dried basil. We're going to use a chipotle pepper in an adobo sauce. We're also going to use some fresh basil, some fresh thyme. We're going to use garlic. I'm using a local purple garlic. We're going to use lime juice. No problem substituting lemon juice if that's what you happen to have on hand. We're going to use some freshly cracked black pepper, and we're going to use some brown sugar. Substitution for the brown sugar to give the desired sweetness to our pizza sauce could be a good quality maple syrup or even palm sugar. I've used all three and find that the brown sugar works best. We're also going to need some good quality sea salt. I'm using a Himalayan pink sea salt. You can use any good quality sea salt or kosher salt or whatever you have access to. Okay, let's get started. The first thing we really need to do is to decide how we like our pizza sauce. Now, if we like our pizza sauce fairly chunky, what we're going to do with these San Marzano tomatoes is we're going to pour them into a container and use a fork, and we're going to crush them up, basically, and we're going to end up with a fairly chunky pizza sauce. Now, if we like our pizza sauce fairly smooth like I do, on the other hand, we're going to get our tomatoes and we're going to put them into our blender like this. Okay, onto the blender, and it isn't going to take very long. We're going to give these 3 and we're done. So we're going to get a heavy based, preferably non-stick saucepan, and to that we're going to add about a tablespoon of olive oil. Now I've got 4 cloves of garlic, which we've crushed up, and we're going to add the 4 cloves of garlic to the olive oil. Now, the most important thing here is that we have to be using a fairly low heat because we don't want the garlic to burn. We want to brown the garlic without the garlic burning. If the garlic burns, it's going to become bitter. And whilst a nice bitter, well-cooked garlic might be okay in downtown Tokyo if we're having a really nice Kobe steak, it's not going to work for our pizza sauce. So we only want to brown our garlic. So on a low heat, it's probably only going to take a minute or so for our garlic to brown. Okay, our garlic's got a nice brown colour to it. So we're ready to add our tomato. So we're going to add our tomato. Now, if we were making this sauce fairly quickly, if we just got home from work and we're looking to make a really quick pizza sauce and we weren't going to have any time to let it simmer on the stove, we'd probably want to have drained those tomatoes, but this is not what we're making. We're making a pizza sauce that is going to take up to an hour on the stove. So the sauce is going to thicken up, which is why I didn't drain the tomatoes when I initially blended them. So we're just going to give that a bit of a stir around, get the garlic mixed in with the tomatoes, And now we're going to bring the temperature up to a medium heat, and we're going to start introducing the rest of the herbs and ingredients that we need. Okay. So we're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of dried oregano. We're going to add 1.5 teaspoons of dried basil. We're going to add 1 tablespoon of fresh basil and 1 tablespoon of fresh thyme. So we'll get that stirred into our sauce. And then we are going to add 1 tablespoon of lime juice, and we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of fresh cracked black pepper. We're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of our salt, and we're going to add 1 tablespoon of the brown sugar. Then we're going to give that a bit of a stir. This is still over the medium heat. We're going to incorporate that, and then we're going to add our chipotle peppers in the adobo sauce. Now what I've done is I've previously blended the chilies in the sauce and frozen them in ice cube trays, and I've produced probably about, I would say, a tablespoon or 3/4 of a tablespoon of this chipotle chili in the adobo sauce in frozen form as they've been in the ice cubes, which is much easier for me when I'm cooking on a regular basis. So we're going to throw one of those in and give that a bit of a stir. Now, if we're going to get home from work on a Friday night and try and rustle up a pizza sauce to have some pizzas that evening, this sauce can stay on the stove here for 15 minutes or so, and you're going to get a reasonable result. Now, to get the most out of this pizza sauce, however, we want to increase the temperature and bring our pizza sauce to a quick boil. Which has already started to happen. From there, we're going to reduce it to a very, very low heat, and we're going to simmer our pizza sauce for approximately 1 hour. Now this is why when we were blending our tomatoes, we didn't drain the tomatoes, because we were going to be cooking it for up to 1 hour. I recommend 1 hour, and we're going to get a consistency that's going to be far more thicker than what it was when we originally put it into the pot. So we will be back in an hour. Okay, our sauce has been on a low simmer for around an hour or so, and it's a good consistency. What we're going to do now is we're going to turn our stove off. We're going to let the sauce sit and cool for anything up to half an hour, and then we're going to pour our sauce into a plastic container and refrigerate it. Now, I recommend refrigerating the sauce for up to 2 days. Not absolutely essential, but for full flavour development, I've always found it best if the sauce can sit in the fridge for a couple of days. Most important, when the sauce comes out of the fridge, when you're ready to apply it to your pizza bases, we need to bring our sauce back to room temperature, because we get far more flavour from the tomatoes if the sauce is brought back to room temperature prior to applying to our pizza base. I'd recommend having the sauce out of the fridge for up to 2 hours before before we want to use it. And that's our pizza sauce. Enjoy.